Morning, guys. So this is the first day we're going to be open here at Clay Arts Vegas since the start of the coronavirus pandemic. And I'm going to do this video so that we can play it in the studio during class. I'll probably do it without the sound during class, but I'll kind of talk you guys through it right now. So I'm using the Laguna Cone 5 Frost, which is a really fun, supple body. It definitely takes a little bit of time and practice to get proficient with this clay body. It tends to be very, very soft. And as you're using it, the plasticity increases. So it makes for a very challenging throw, I think. But it's stunning when it's all done. Semi-translucent. It's a beautiful paper white. So if you're somebody who likes to decorate, whether it be with underglaze painting or underglaze decals, some really beautiful translucent glazes, or even low fire decals, really makes a nice canvas for that. Okay, so I'm using approximately 4.5 pounds of the frost clay body. So the first thing I want to do is I want to center my clay now that I have it on the back. So I'm going to push here at 7 o'clock. I'm right-handed. So I'm going to push at 7. I'm going to karate chop at 4. And I'm leaning in with my whole body, right? My back is nice and straight. My shoulders are fairly square to my hips. Got my elbows locked into my belly on the side, right? And I'm just pushing down a little bit. My wheel is going fairly fast, so the clay has no opportunity to do anything other than center. So I'm going to bring this up a little bit, so I'm going to mount it up and I'm going to take it back down. So I'm going to do that by pushing at 7 and pushing at 1. I'm going to push my 2 hands together. See how that raises that clay up nice and soft? It kind of looks like a little 3 Mile Island cooling tower here. And now I'm going to compress it back down. So I'm going to come right here between this lobe and this lobe, grab that little mushroom cap, and I'm going to push down. And as long as I'm keeping that area that's right between those 2 lobes centered, theoretically the whole body will be nice and centered. If I feel like my clay has a little bit of a stiff spot in it, or it's still not centered as much as I want, I can bring it back up, and then I'm going to bring it back down. So I can't tell from this angle, right? But in here I've got a little bit of a divot, and that happens a lot, right? And that's because I came up really fast. I probably should have come up a little slower. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to push on the outside ring. Going to make that flat, and once again it's still living right here between those 2 paths. Going to bring that down, controlling the mushroom cap, right, so I don't get any air underneath that. Bring that down. And for the vessel that I'm going to make today, I'm going to make a salad serving bowl sort of a shape. So it's going to be a really wide bowl. It's about a 4-inch wall, flattish on the bottom, nice straight walls will give me a nice surface for decorating. Okay. So, I'm going to come over here, I'm going to push this down a little further. And I want my clay to be approximately 1 inch thick. Okay? Now, stopping my wheel here so you can see something. I'm going to take it so that I'm about a 1/2 inch from the edge of my bat pin. And if I do that every time, I can make my vessels fairly consistent. Right? So I can still see it's a little thick. So I'm going to push down a little further. If you're a person who doesn't have a lot of strength that way by karate chopping, one of the things that I often suggest to my folks here at Clay Arts Vegas is I get my clay wet and I use my whole forearm. And I can just lean down. And that gives me a really beautiful, flat disc of clay. It does increase the number of towels that you need. But hey, we're making art. We gotta do that, right? Wipe my arm off here. Okay, so far so good. As you can see, I'm just about at the back pins, and what's going to happen is when I push in to raise my wall up, it's going to bring it back that about ½ inch from the edge of the back pin. So the next thing I need to do here is I need to open my vessel. So I'm going to go hand over hand, and I'm going to push down right in the middle. Push down just a little bit. I want to check the depth here. I want my clay to be approximately the thickness of my finger, maybe a little beefier than that. And that's going to allow me the ability to compress, right? Or compact that clay down. All right, so I'm going to get that wet again. I'm going to reach in with my left hand. I'm going to make a little claw. My right hand's going to come over the top. And I always use my sponge here, so I'm also releasing a little bit of water. Slowly going to pull towards my belly. As I am doing that, I'm lifting just a little bit, right? And it's because my natural tendency is to dig into the clay, and I don't really want to do that. I want to keep this as flat as I can. So if I lift a little bit, I go against my natural tendency. So now you can see I've got this fairly nice flat bottom. I'm a little thicker than my finger. Still a little thicker than my finger, so I'm pretty happy with that. And so now I'm going to grab my rib here. And this is one of those little MKM guys that I think are super fun. I'm going to start here on the outside at 3 o'clock. I'm going to work towards the middle. Really compacting that clay down. I want to make this super, super strong. The more compacted that is, the stronger that will be. Coming across one more time, compacting, compacting, compacting. Fairly lovely. Lovely is kind of a silly word for this, but that's okay. All right, so I'm going to come here one more time. I'm going to come across. I'm compacting, compacting, compacting. Peter. I need one. All right, so now I'm going to come over here and I'm going to push in over here at 3 o'clock. So camera's on the wrong side today, so I'm going to push in at 3 o'clock. I'm going to support on the inside. And you can see I'm now just about a finger width from the back pin, right? So it's just a little bigger. So I'm going to come on the inside, and I'm going to grab what I call them bunny paws. So this side's going to support on the inside, this side's going to support and push in. So I'm going to push that in, and very gently and delicately pulling that up. Right. I'm going to compress this rim really well. And right now, my wall is about this tall, so we're going to call that about 4 inches. It's probably a little shy of that, but that's really great because what I want to do now is with my rib at 3 o'clock, I'm going to start to smooth that clay body. Smooth, 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 bring that up. So as I bring that up, I'm squaring that wall up just a little bit, crisping up that edge. I'm going to do the same thing on the inside here. So I get rid of all of my throwing marks because that's going to make it easier to decorate. And now I'm going to come back and I'm going to square this wall up because I gave it a little bow and I don't really want it to be bowed. I think a salad bowl should be nice and square for whatever reason. Maybe that's just today. The inside does have a little bit of a transition area. So the floor is very flat, the wall is very flat, but there is on the inside just a teeny tiny bit of a curve. I'm gonna grab this bigger stiff rib here. I'm gonna push that in. Getting rid of some of that curve, making it a little squarer. So I'm enjoying that. And now I'm going to take my sponge. I'm going to compress that and pack that top rim. And so now I have this nice, beautiful porcelain salad bowl. I'm allowing this to be a little thick because later in the day I'm going to go back and I'm going to carve this up a little bit. Maybe I'll show some photos of it when it's finished if I remember. I'm really terrible about going back and showing finished products. So I've gotten all the water out of the base. Okay. Super important to me to make sure that's nice and smooth. I'm going to come over here and I'm going to use my wooden knife that looks like a bowling ball. And I'm going to use that point and I'm going to clean up that bottom edge just a little teeny bit. Let that pass around a few times. I'm going to clean that off. I don't need that extra clay down there. I know that I'm probably going to trim this little guy. So I want to make sure that I've got off as much excess as I can. That way I don't have to trim it, and I can also reclaim that clay now. Even though we're open, I know there's lots of other studios that are not. Our governor gave us the green light, so we're going to approach class in a very social distancing, very conscious manner. So now I'm going to get my finishing sponge nice and wet. Bring it out just a little bit. I'm using the Zim one today. Sometimes I use the Mud Tools one. I don't know. I'll go back. And as I come up here, I'm really polishing out those throwing marks. And if I see a few, I don't mind because I know that I can always buff them away later, even if I just do a little fingertip sand. Potters always have dry fingers, so it's great. Come across there, and pack and polish that a little bit. And there you go, we've got a nice little salad bowl. I'm going to leave this on the back so I can come back and do a little decorating. I'll cut it off and trim it in a little while. And there you go. Okay, hope everyone has a great day. Talk to you soon.